So today we are going to do staffing part 3. And in this we are going to study what is selection and what are the steps involved in the process of selection. Now what is selection? In the staffing process, we have studied this at the third point. Now this is the point where choosing the right candidate or applicant is concerned. And it has got a series of steps. And under each step, some of the candidates are eliminated so that you can make the final selection. So from a pool of candidates, the right person is chosen. Now the selection process has got 8 steps. Let's start with the first one. The first is preliminary screening. That is the initial screening. If the number of candidates who have applied for a job are too many or they're not fit for the job, then in that case, this preliminary screening is done to eliminate all those candidates who are not qualified or who are misfit for the job. For example, personality is very important for a particular job, maybe for a salesman, and those who don't fit the bill, they might be rejected. Then after the preliminary screening comes the selection test. There are 5 types of selection tests done because people might be from different background. They might have done their masters or bachelors from different places. So give them all the same test so that you can see who fits the bill the best. Now these could be from manual dexterity. Manual dexterity means how quickly can you use your fingers and movement of your hands, to intelligence test, to even personality test. So let us study the first test, that is called intelligence test. Intelligence test is called IQ test. IQ of a computer is nil because they can't think anything by themselves. Whatever you feed them in the form of software, that only they can execute. So intelligence test is a psychological test. It's all in the mind. So this checks the intelligent quotient of a person, and this also checks the learning ability. Please remember this. Learning ability is checked by the intelligence test. Your knowledge you may have, but can you learn more? Learning ability, intelligence test, and decisions or judgment. Now managers need to make decisions and make judgments. So how good are you at that can be evaluated with the help of intelligence test. Then comes aptitude test. Do you have an aptitude for the job? Do you have an aptitude to learn new skills? You may be possessing some skills by yourself, but can you learn new skills? For example, if you don't know computers and you're told to learn a new language in computers, will you be able to learn? How quickly can you learn can be measured through aptitude test, because innovation keeps taking place and every businessman wants that the people who are working with him, they should be able to learn new skills also. So this test helps to know and develop a person's capacity to learn new skills. Then comes the personality test. This is a very complex test. It is also called a psychometric test, in which the person's emotions, reactions, maturity, and value system are checked. For example, they'll give you a hypothetical case that you want to join the organization. So they'll put you on this test that you are married and you have a small child who's suffering from 104-degree temperature. The child is very sick. But you also have an urgent meeting with foreign delegates, which has to take place today itself. What will you do in such a situation? Will you excuse yourself? Now, if you try to excuse yourself, there's nobody else who can take your place. Or will you stay with your child? So normally, to please the members of the panel, everybody says, I'll arrange something for my child and I'll come, or I'll bring my child and leave my child in another room and keep watching and all that. So they say a woman who cannot be a mother, how can she join our organization? How can she work for somebody else or some other organization? जो माँ अपने बच्चे की नहीं हो सकी, वो किसी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन की क्या होगी? So these tests are very complex. So they check your maturity system, your emotional reaction, your value system, etc. Then comes trade test. If you're joining the organization and you are possessing certain trade, like for example, you're joining as an accountant or maybe a plumber or carpenter, so they will give you a test to see how good are you at it. To be an electrician in a company, they may probably give you circuit to complete. They'll say complete this circuit, and if you're able to complete it, they will keep you. Or if you're wanting to join as an accountant or a typist, then for the accountant they'll give a balance sheet which is all wrong, so they'll say you correct it. And for a typist, they will see the speed. They'll say, okay, type this and let's see how many errors you make and how much time do you take. So that's called a trade test. Now trade test is to see the existing skill, and aptitude test is to see the new skills of a person. Then comes interest job. Now, you may take up a job just because you want a job and this job is coming your way, so you may take it up. But you may actually, your heart may not be in it. So how fascinated are you by that particular job? That can be known through the interest test. Then the third step is the employment interview. This is actually a two-way process. Now, sometimes a person may have very good academic qualification. He may have done very well in the test. Now you want to see whether that person fits the bill or not. So interview is face to face, and there'll be a panel who will be conducting the interview, and they'll see whether that person is suitable for the job or not. Sometimes the people are over ambitious or under ambitious. So both people are not rejected. The person who is most suitable for the job is selected. And this is the stage where the interviewee can also ask questions. You may have your own questions that you may want to ask the panel, so you can also ask. So it's actually a two-way process. Then comes reference and background check. Certain jobs require 20 years of experience. Suppose you're applying for the job of a CEO. So they want you to have at least 15 to 20 years experience as a CEO. Now, a person who has 20 years experience in another job and he's left the job to join your job, what is the guarantee that he will not leave your job and go elsewhere? So 20-year-old job he can kick up and come here. So why did he leave that job? Reference check can be done for that. And this is to verify the information that you're providing. You may be saying anything and everything. So whatever you're saying, is it correct? Does it hold true? And sometimes for this, the teachers, university professors, they are told to tell about the person because they're the ones who have taught. So your ex-employer or your lecturers, etc., might be writing for you, giving your background. Then comes the selection decision. Now there's a panel who's conducting the interview. So this panel sits and decides as to who's to be selected. So what they do is if they're to select, say, 3-4 people, they'll keep a few more in waiting. Because if somebody has applied for a job in your organization, chances are that person might have applied for a job elsewhere also. So maybe he'll find another job better, so he may not join your organization. So they keep a waiting list also. Now suppose this panel does not agree upon whom to select. Sometimes they have differences. Somebody might feel that this person is better suited, the other may feel no, that one is better. So in that case, whichever department they're finding the candidate, that manager who is in the panel has the final say. For example, they're looking for a manager in marketing. So the person who is in the panel from marketing department, that person has the final say regarding who is to be selected. And then comes the medical examination. This has become a must these days. People are having certain diseases which they don't even know about. A person may have tuberculosis, or he may have some other disease which may be terminal, and this person doesn't know about it. So if that person has joined your organization and you have given that person training and spent so much of money on it, and then God forbid that person dies, then it is a big liability for the organization. So before the person joins, they get a medical examination done. And if the person is declared fit, only then he is allowed to join. Suppose he is not declared fit, he has got some disease, let's say he's got diabetes or he's got tuberculosis, then he's told to take care and take medicine for it. The job can wait for him for maybe 6 months. Once he's declared fit by the doctors of that particular organization, then he can join. And in the meantime, they offer the job to the next person. For 6 months, the job is for the next person, and once this person is declared fit, then he can take up the job. Then comes the job offer. Now, job offer is actually the letter of appointment. If you have been informed that yes, you have been selected, but you have not got the job offer, you cannot conclude it as an appointment unless you have the appointment letter in your hand. And the appointment letter will specifically tell you the date on which you have to report to duty. If you do not report on that particular date due to various reasons, you're not able to report on that particular date, then you need to inform the organization as to why you can't report. Suppose you couldn't catch the flight or you got delayed due to some reason and you just couldn't report. So you inform them immediately. Otherwise, they'll feel that you've got another job and you've not bothered to inform them. So job offer is actually the letter of appointment and the date on which the candidate has to join. And the candidate is given enough time because he might already be working somewhere. There he has to give his resignation and then join here. And then finally, the contract of employment. So once you've got the appointment letter, then you have to reach on that day. In fact, you are supposed to reach a day before because there are certain documents which you need to fill up and sign. So these documents have to be executed by the employer as well as the employee. And there's an attestation form in which a number of things will be required depending from company to company. And you will be required to sign it, fill it up and sign it. So, and this Contract of employment is also a contract, and it tells you the title for which you have been selected. For example, you've been selected as a commerce, PGT commerce. Now, which subject are you going to teach? Commerce has got so many subjects. So have you been appointed as an accounts teacher or a business teacher or economics teacher? So the title that you're going to hold will be informed to you, the duties, responsibilities that go along with the job, the date of continuous employment, how long are you going to be ad hoc, then temporary, and then permanent, and the contract of employment and all that, how is your contract going to be terminated, and every details that required to be told will be there in the contract of employment. So this is the selection process. Now I've made some tips and tricks for you to remember, and this will help you recollect and remember. So we have taken the same process. First is the preliminary interview. Remove extra. All those who are not suitable for the job, just remove them. Selection test is give all of them the same test. Everybody is to be evaluated under the same microscope. Then employment interview, let them also ask. Now you're only testing them. You're only telling them to fill the form. Now let the candidate also ask some questions that they want to ask. Now reference check is to find out why did they leave the previous organization? What did they not find suitable? Or were they thrown out? Then selection decision is everybody in the panel has a say. Now they're just sitting, some of them might be just sitting and listening to what the candidate says, or they may not be questioning, they may be assessing the candidate. Now is the time for them to have the say. And medical examination, no tension later. Today only check the medical, get the medical certificate of the candidate, see that if he is fit and fine, because otherwise it's going to lead to a lot of tension later. Job offer is letter to join. Now they're giving you a letter to join, and contract of employment tells you about the duties of the employment. Remember children, job offer and contract to employment, children get confused, but job offer is a letter to join and contract is about the duties. That's also a contract, but it's about the duties. So this is how you can remember it. And now that brings us to the case study. So let us see what has been asked. Identify and state the next 3 steps for choosing the best candidate. Choosing the best candidate, they've said. They've not asked, told you about any process, anything. So choosing the best candidate is the selection process. So let's see. Nishant, the director of a garments company, is planning to manufacture bags for the utilization of waste material from one of his garments units. He has decided that this manufacturing unit will be set up in a rural area of Orissa, where people have very few job opportunities and labor is available at very low rates. He has also thought of giving equal opportunities to men and women. For this, he wants 4 different heads for sales, accounts, purchase, and production. He gives an advertisement and shortlists 10 candidates as per post after conducting different selection tests. Identify and state the next 3 steps. So you have to identify the next 3 steps that come in the selection process. So I'll give you a moment. This came way back in 2013. And yes, you got it correct. And it is after the test. So the 3 steps that come after the test, they are the interview, then the reference check, and then the final selection decision. So this is how the case study has to be done. So underline what is important, which is the clue that you got, and then write down the answers. That's all in this video. Thank you.